Hello my gorgeous cuties out there and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to play with the new Natasha Denona Pastel Palette. I love her eyeshadow formula, so I want to see if this is as good as her other palettes. So I'm going to do some swatches, create a couple looks, and give you guys my thoughts on this palette and whether you need to pick it up or not. But before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Brie, and I'm just a crazy lover of all things beauty, and I like to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content. So if those are things you like to watch, please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I'd love to have you here. But with that being said, let's get into this video. All right, my cuties, we are getting close to springtime. I think it's officially spring, March 20th. I know a lot of people are still having a really bad weather like snow, but here it's like 70 degrees all week in Texas, and I'm just getting in that mood, and this palette is definitely bringing those spring vibes as well. But I'm just really excited to see how this palette will perform, to see if these are going to be some really good staple pastels or if this is something you could pass on. But overall, I am a big fan of Natasha Denona's formula. I love most of the palettes I've tried from her, so I'm excited. I have high hopes, but we will see soon enough once I do some of the looks with this. But I'll show you guys up close what the palette looks like. This goes for $65, so this is one of her smaller palettes. And the back of it has the hole, so you can pop out the shades, you can rearrange it, and you can put like other shades from like other palettes that are in this size. But this is a smaller one. So the bigger ones that go for $129 are this size, and then the $65 ones are this side, just for a comparison so you know the difference. And then here is what the shadows look like inside. This is really beautiful. I mean, it's a pastel palette, so the shades are going to be overall quite light. Looks like there's a few darker tones in here to maybe slightly deepen up the look, but this is going to be just a very light palette overall. So this palette has various formulas in here. So there are 5 cream to powder mattes in here, which is my favorite formula from Natasha, but it's this one, this one, this one, I think this one, and this one that is a cream to powder. I know some people have trouble with that formula, but I love it. There's also 4 dual chromes in here. So the shade called Illusion, which is a dual chrome sheer pink peach. Then the shade called Dainty, which is a dual chrome sparkling pink with golden champagne. Then the shade called Adriatic, I think that's how you pronounce it, is a dual chrome bright turquoise and gold. And then the last shade, Duet, is a dual chrome lilac teal. So we'll see how the shifts are on those. And then the rest are either regular metallics or regular mattes in here. So there are a couple formulas to play with in this palette. I do want to create a couple looks. I want to see if this pastel formula is good and pigmented, because usually pastels are hard to formulate. So I'm hoping because of the higher price tag, this means we're going to get better pastels. So we will see if it is worth the price. So I'm going to zoom you guys in and create a couple of looks. So I want to start off with the shade called Bora. Of course, I would go for the deepest shade in here. This is one of the cream to powder mattes. So usually with that formula, you want to start off first with that and then work with other shadows. I think that's like the best way. And usually these work better packing on instead of just like trying to swipe it, just because it's more like a cream. So we're going to see how this does. I'm just going to try to pack that on. I mean, it's not a super dark shade, but I'm not expecting it to have a lot of depth. But I love these cream to powders. I feel like they just go on really nicely once you get the technique down. Because if you try to go on with a fluffy brush, you're not going to have the best experience with this formula. You just really got to press it on and spread. But yeah, this definitely looks lighter on the eyes than it does in the pan. And that's the deepest shade we got here. So I'm going to work with it the best that I can. And I'm just going to focus it on the outer corner. So I did end up bringing the shade in a little further in the crease, but I do want to go over the edge and stuff with this shade called Feather, which is a very like light pinky lilac shade. And I'm going to start with that in the inner portion, and I'm going to go over the edge of that cream to powder matte and use that just to like diffuse everything I think this is like the best method to go in with these cream to powders, is just use the other mattes as more of like a blending of the edges and stuff. So I'm just gonna mimic what's on the crease on the lower lash line. So I'm just gonna take that cream to powder purple shade called Bora, and I'm gonna run it down here, and then I'll use the other shade Feather to blend everything out. All right, I am back. I put the shade on the lower lash line, and I did put some glitter primer on the lid. I went in with the NYX glitter primer because now I want to go into the metallics, and I usually like putting a glitter primer down first. So I do want to go on with the shade called Mint all over my lid. Sorry, that is my phone. It keeps vibrating. I keep getting notifications, but Mint Frost is the shade. Ooh, picks up beautiful on that brush. And I want to use that all on the lid. Ooh, that is really beautiful. Super sparkly, super intense, as I expected. It swatched really beautifully because I did swatch these shades first. And this, ooh, this is beautiful. I like the combo with like the mint and the purple. That looks so beautiful. I do want to go into the shade, this teal right here. That's a little bit deeper of a color. And I want to use that on the edge. And this is supposed to be a dual chrome. I'm not sure if it's really going to show up as a dual chrome. But I'm just going to use that to kind of fuse at the end into the like purple matte. I mean, it's not really going to fuse it because it's a different color, but I just wanted to use that on the edge. And I think I want to go in a little bit with my finger. I don't know, the shift's kind of hard to see, but the other dual chromes that I've played with from Natasha Denona, they're usually not very like extreme with the shifts. They're just more like muted and subtle with the shift, but I just wanted to use that on the edge just to see what it does. I mean, it's definitely like a deeper color than that mint. Now I want to go into Briss, the matte mint shade. It's pretty powdery, so I'm going to dust off the excess, and I'm going to see if I could use that as an inner corner highlight and see if it's opaque enough to be an inner corner highlight. So I'm just going to stamp that on right here in the inner portion. Yeah, it's looking nice and pigmented from what I can see. I'm just doing a stamping motion, and I didn't lay anything down, like any kind of base to help it be, you know, more intense. I'm just using this on its own. So there we go. I think it was bright enough to be an inner corner highlight, and it laid pretty well in the inner corner. Now, pastels are usually on the sheer side, and they usually don't build very well on themselves. You kind of just have to go in with like one layer and hopefully have it be good, or use some kind of like base, like a white base, to really amp it up. But I think it did pretty well on its own. And I love how this look turned out. So I want to finish up the rest of my makeup, do my mascara, waterline, and all that jazz. And then I will come back, show you guys the finished look. All right, I'm back. Here's the completed look. I'll show you guys the look up close so you guys can really see. I think that this came out really nice with the blue and the mint combo. And I just kept it very simple. I didn't go in with too much off camera. I just went in with my Thrive mascara. I used the ColourPop liner in Exit. It's a white liner. It's my favorite to go in when I am doing a very pastel look. And then I also went in with a lip gloss. This is from Letho in the shade called Nova. This is one of my favorite lip gloss formulas. And I just wanted to keep the whole light, like springy vibes going on. But I do think it looks really nice. And so far, the shades that I used performed really nicely and as expected. But that was everything. So now let's get into another look, and then I can wrap up this video. So now I'm going to get into this shade right here, this blue one called Bubble. It is also a cream to powder, and I'm gonna do like the same technique. Ooh, I did way too hard in that shade. And I'm gonna just focus it on the outer corner and bring it through the crease. Now this shade is definitely lighter than that Bora shade that I used in the last look in the beginning. So this look probably overall is going to be really light. So I did have a little bit of the shade fall down like from the brush, but that's because I went way too hard into the shadow, and that is just how I am. I'm very heavy-handed, so don't do what I just did with these cream to powders. So I put that on. It has good pigmentation, but I feel like the shade is a little bit textured, almost kind of crumbly, and I didn't experience that with the Bora shade. So I don't know if it's just the nature of it being like a pastel cream to powder. So I've never experienced this with her cream to powder formula before. Like it kind of just crumbled on my chest, even when I went in lighter with that shade. So that was kind of a weird experience. But now I'm going to go into the shade called Zest, this like limey pastel green. And I want to use that like through the crease and use that on the edges of that shade. I'm not expecting much. I think this is also a cream to powder formula. Yes, it is. So I'm going to kind of stamp that on too. I don't know. It's looking very light. It looks more like a yellow than a lime green shade when you put it on the lid. Right? Doesn't it look like really yellow? But in the pan it looks way more of like a greeny yellow shade. So was not expecting that. I'm bringing some of it in the inner portion. I don't know. These kind of look a little chalky. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like these cream to powder and the like really pastel shades are sitting funny on the lid. I don't know if you guys can tell. Doesn't it look like it's sitting funny? Or is it me? It might be something I'm doing. I don't know. Of course, I'll have to play with this more off camera to really get my final thoughts. But I just feel like the shades look really dry and kind of textured. It's kind of strange. So I'm going to leave this alone. I think it looks all right. So I want to go in probably with the blue on the lower part as well, onto the lower lash line, and just concentrate that down here. And I'll use the same like Zest shade on the edge. So I think instead of using the Zest shade, I'm gonna try Airy, the like matte lighter version blue on the bottom instead of that Zest shade. I'm not feeling how that looks in the crease, so I'm just gonna use that to blend the edge down here. All right, so I did at the lower lash line. I put some glitter primer down because I want to go in with the metallics now. I do want to use this Limoncello shade. It's a pastel yellow shimmer, and I'm gonna use that all over the lid. See how that looks? This one's a little bit more sheer and light. Probably would make a beautiful like inner corner highlight shade. So that's like a nice like really light yellow pastel metallic. So I do want to go in with a little bit of the shade called Duet on the edge. I just want to see how that looks. I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like this look is not my best, but we are just gonna keep going with it. And I'm just gonna put that on the edge. This is one of the dual chromes that I think is supposed to have like a purple to like kind of light blue shift. So I figured that would blend like really good into the blue cream to powder shade. But now I'm gonna go into the shade called Illusion, and I'm gonna use that as my inner corner highlight. See what the shift is like. I think this is supposed to have a pink shift. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can definitely see it's pink. It looks kind of white in like the pan, and then once you put it on the eyes, it has that really light pink shift to it. I do like shades like this for the inner corner. So here is the look. I think I'm just gonna leave it alone and let it be. It is as good as it's gonna get, and I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup off camera, and then I will be right back to show you guys the finished look. So I'm back, and here's the completed look. I'll show you guys up close how my eyes turned out. So overall, I think it's okay. It's not my favorite look. I didn't have the best experience with the shadows I used in this look. But what I did off camera was I went in with the Thrive Cosmetics mascara. I also went in to the waterline with this gel liner from Lethal called Analog to match like the blue in the outer corner and the crease. And then I went back in with the same gloss, the Lethal Cosmetics gloss in Nova. And that is how I finished everything. I mean, I don't think it looks terrible. It looks really soft and pastel, but it's not exactly what I expected this to come out like. But that was everything for this look. So now I'm going to back up a little bit, zoom out, and give you guys my final thoughts on this palette. All right, my loves, so I am having mixed feelings about this palette. Like, I'm not sure. I'm on the fence right now, which never happens to me when it comes to a Natasha Denona palette. So I feel like I'll have to play with it a little more, try different techniques to like finalize my thoughts. But as of right now, I'm not sure. And I've never been in this place before when it comes to a Natasha Denona palette. And usually it's like as good as I expected. But this one did not totally go as planned. So the first look I think came out beautiful. I think the mattes performed really well in that look. I think the Bora shade performed as the usual cream to powder formula from Natasha Denona. I thought these metallics were gorgeous. Like all the metallics that I used even on this look did beautifully. They're really shiny and metallic and pretty, and this illusion shade is gorgeous in the inner corner. The minty metallics were beautiful, and I feel like all the regular mattes that I used in this palette was nice and pigmented. Like the brush shade was beautiful in the inner corner. I thought the airy shade had good pigmentation, but these two shades right here, which are both cream to powders, and they did not perform very well. Like this bubble shade was kind of crumbling and it wasn't really creamy, and I've never experienced that with her cream to powders before. And I don't know if it was user error and I was just digging into the pan too hard and I caused that to happen, but it just didn't go on very well. It almost seemed like how a gel liner gets, like a pot liner starts to dry out. It's still a little creamy, but it's still kind of crumbling a little bit too. It felt like it was performing like that. And then the Zest shade, it looks like a limey green shade in the pan, but it comes off a very light yellow on the lids, and I feel like it was kind of crumbling as well, and it wasn't as creamy as like the Bora shade. So these two shades I'm not sure about, which I'm sad because I love these like kind of colors. Overall, I'm not unhappy that I picked up this palette, and at this point I am a collector of Natasha Denona's palettes, and I do feel like I will get use out of this palette, especially the shades that were really good in here, and I think this is going to pair really nicely with her other palettes. But if you're a person who does not wear pastels, this is not going to be worth it for you. And if you're a person looking for the ultimate best pastel formula you've ever had, this is not going to be it, and it's not going to be worth it to you. And if you're a person that doesn't see a $65 palette worth it, no matter how good it is, you're not going to be happy with this. So right now I'm on the fence about it. Like, I'm not totally sure if I could say that this is a good palette or not, which is very weird to me. I wanted to give you some other options though that were good pastel palettes that are more affordable if you're looking to add pastels to your collection. I think the BH Cosmetics Lost in Los Angeles palette is really nice. It has really good pastels in here and like lighter shimmers, and the quality is amazing. And this palette is a lot cheaper than the Natasha Denona palette. I think the Menagerie Pastel Pot one has a nice range of like pastel mattes if you're wanting to just add some pastel mattes to your collection. Now this doesn't really have any pastel shimmers in it. There's just one shimmer in it, but if you're just looking for pastel mattes, this is a good option. It performed really nicely. You can always get the Give Me Glow Pastel Dream Palette. I think these are really nice pigmented pastels. You get a good range, and you get some really nice pastel metallics in here as well. So this is also a really nice option. If you're looking for something that has pastels and other options as well, the Rococo palette from Kai Lab, which used to be Musée, has pastels and neutrals in it. Also more affordable than the Natasha one. one. And then there's the Glam Light Ice Cream Dream one. It has pastels, it has some pastel metallics, and it also has neutral options and a lot more variety. And it's still cheaper than the Natasha Denona palette. So I think these are all good options if you're looking for more affordable options to add pastels to your collection. Now, I did do a video where I showed you guys all my favorite spring palettes, which are a lot of pastel palettes, and I have 2 of those videos up on my channel, one from last year too. I'll link those below if you're wanting to see like a wider range of pastel options. But that was my thoughts on this palette. You guys will have to let me know in the comments below, what were your thoughts on this? Do you like the looks that I created? Did you pick up this palette? I would love to hear from all of y'all. And if you're new here and you enjoyed this video and you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will link the palette where you can find it. I'll link other videos of mine that you might be interested in watching, as well as the rest of my makeup and my contact information. I am also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_beauty. So if you want to check me out on Instagram, I would really love that. But that was everything, guys. Thank you so much for being here and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. But I do hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world, and I'm just sending you all so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.